the joke of it to me is whatever, it has to be on video. That's called a show. That's actually called a show. Like, and which I've done a lot of those too.
My father-in-law is an identical twin, and he lives in Texas. And
were you scared you guys were gonna have twins?
Terrified. That's kind of why we're scared of having another one, because we're thinking about it. But I mean, not to be like sad about it, but like my long COVID is getting in the way. That's like a barrier to us having a second kid. A major one. Also, we're just generally tired, but like it does complicate my life significantly.
Have you fallen into any like Maha trap?
I haven't fallen into it. I dip my toe in it, and I fully understand the pipeline that leads to it now. But I'll tell you, have we started?
Yeah, that's how I do it.
Oh, we just go right into it. Okay, great. So make sure we come in on Maha. So when I started having issues with COVID, right, like a month or two after I got sick, right? I got sick in 2020 in March, and then about a month later, I was fine. And then a month later, everything started going haywire. Like I was starting waking up 14 times a night. There was beeping in my ears, like somebody tapping like Morse code. I had
feeling a little 4chan.
Suddenly had exhaustion, like heavy exhaustion after working out, but doing like normal stuff and fatigue all the time. And then like brain fog, like forgetting easy words and names and shit like that. And I had no idea what was going on. I would see doctors and they would tell me that it's in my head and that I needed to go on SSRIs. And so like,
what does it feel like being a woman? How was that for you?
My very brief forte was bad.
Yeah. Being told it's all in your head and going on SSRIs is like...
Did I just describe the female experience?
Literally.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. No, it was horrible. And so now 5 years later, there's a ton that doctors know about long COVID. I feel like I've become an expert on it, reading fucking, doctors' papers and stuff like that, medical journals. But it really was wild to have people tell me that it was in my head, that it'll get better in a week. I just need to eat better, stuff like that. And now we know that it's actually like a chronic condition caused by a number of factors. But so I understand how somebody can end up in like conspiracy territory when it comes to medical information if they're being told stuff like that. Yeah.
And the Maha, it was covert and now they feel safe to just be out. For me, I'm experiencing you should have a baby in an inflatable pool in the middle of your dining room. Mm-hmm. And I'm not fucking doing that. So that's the Maha, like the Orange County goop Maha that I'm feeling.
And you'd obviously live stream it and you'd have the pool on the dining table.
Real talk, my gynecologist, who is incredible, like literally Eileen Chaikin created an entire show about her in the 80s. She started the women's medical group in Santa Monica. Truly an icon. Walked up to her at Ron Burkle's house at a political fundraiser, bringing it all back, and years ago. And I was like, hey, I've called your office a million times, says you're not taking new patients. Like, gotta take me. She was just like, what? I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna be your new patient.
But you're assertive like that. You have that. You truly are one of the few people I can think of who you are yourself, like whoever you meet, and it seems like you have no social fear whatsoever.
Not true. Jane Fonda's still touch and go for me.
Okay, one person.
Yeah, and that's about it. But yeah, no fear. Because honestly, celebrities are monsters. Who cares? Now I'm going and dip my toe in politics. Those people are fucking psychos. So I have no fear at all. But I was like, you got to be my doctor. And she said to me when I got pregnant and we were talking, she's like, you are not allowed to have a home birth. And I was like, why? And she's like, one of my patients, the baby drowned in the pool.
What?
And I was like, cool. I'm done.
And that's how you need the
but
podcast.
Also, like, give me the drug. I'm no hero.
Right.
Like, what? Just like, it's not like the 1400s. Like, I appreciate that people went and like had a baby by a tree they liked, like by themselves, and like leaned over and like took a fucking rock and cut off the umbilical cord. And here we are today, like addicted to cell phones and like having a sociopath run the country, but like I don't need to be a hero.
We were thinking of doing a home birth, and we ended up deciding against it. And I'm glad, because like there were complications. I mean, it was a long labor. It was many hours of pushing, and like the baby was what's it called? OP. It's like upside down. Breech. Yeah. So it was facing the wrong way. So, and which is like super painful. So it would have been a horrible, I mean, it was already like traumatically painful. Being at home without any pain, I mean, would have been a nightmare.
Disaster. Ain't nobody got to do that.
And again, watching that, I further understand the female experience.
Well, this is a good segue, because I think my listeners might be like, whoa.
Why is this
Why do we have a white,
yeah.
cis, straight man on the podcast for the first time ever? And
Is that true?
Yes. And here's why. Because I have seen this man be in a couple's costume with his wife, who's also very funny, very smart, very amazing, in drag. And he not only committed to it, but he liked it. And that is why Ben Sheehan, very famous author, PBS host, internet savant when it comes to politics, is on the show. Oh, also, you were on the second date I ever had with my wife.
Was I really?
Yeah, where you like strummed your guitar and sang the whole time.
I'm so sorry.
And I was like,
so
remember Emily made that like horrible meatloaf at her house? And I was like, who are these people? I'm like meeting Rachel for the first time. I'm like, this is
We've known each other a long time.
So long. And yet here we are.
Here we are.
It's such a cool, I can't believe you have a PBS show. That's such a big deal.
It is.
Do you still have it?
Yeah. Well, today we're taping this. They literally announced the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is shutting down 2 hours ago.
No.
Yeah.
I was at Pilates.
Well, it's shutting down.
Wait,
Man. but no, it doesn't. I mean, selfishly, it doesn't affect me, at least not right now. So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, for anyone unfamiliar, was created in 1967 or 69, basically to take money from Congress and give it out to public broadcasting. So mainly NPR and PBS. So it's sort of like a company that's in the middleman between federal funding and NPR and PBS. And now that there's no more federal funding, at least for the next 2 years, the company is shutting down. So PBS still exists, NPR still exists,
but that is they're not allocated. The government isn't
no longer giving money to them, and so they're subsisting on donations. And they make usually it's like corporate philanthropy and rich individuals like donating, and then they generate some revenue. So like the motherships, NPR and PBS, like the main companies that we think of, will be okay for now, but it's really the local affiliate. So like the NPR affiliate in like Baton Rouge or Detroit or Sacramento or Charlotte or wherever, like those local stations, your local PBS, local NPR, they're going to be severely affected by these cuts. And they're some of the last places you're getting quality local news.
Well, that really dovetails in to the conversation we had earlier, which is like people just want free content. They don't think they have to pay for it, but we do now more than ever. Like that's why, if you have a favorite creator, not to sound like preachy, but if they have a Substack, just fucking throw them $2. Like if you love, and I could not survive without NPR.
It costs to fund, for everybody in the country, to fund public media the way we've been doing it. It's the equivalent of $1.60 a year per person. That's how much. So honestly, like a third of what you might give to somebody for a monthly Patreon.
And actually, I had not eaten at McDonald's in many, many years before this pregnancy. Like I'm talking like 20, 30 years. Like I'm not a McDonald's eater. Don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this.
This is a really good way to work in a sponsor if this is actually how you do it.
Well, and so I ate McDonald's last week, but then the time before that, I had it McDonald's in DC when I was about to throw up all over the mayor of DC during World Pride, which I was invited to by the mayor. Thank you very much. I went to get a small fries, and we're talking small fries in the sleeve, not in the red thing. Wow. $4, dude. So it's really 2 McDonald's fries-ish with tax a year.
Inflation's real.
No, I'm saying that's how you could think of it. Like a soda, a small Diet Coke. $2 flat.
It's crazy.
It is really crazy. Was PBS the dream though? I feel like it had to have been.
I mean, obviously being like a fan of, Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street, for so long, it was really cool. But the journey to this show has been crazy so I had a book that came out 5 years ago that was sort of like a layperson's guide to the Constitution called What Does the Constitution Actually Say? There's a kid's version. And I started adapting it into a show. And then it was at one network with one producer. And I was never meant to host the show. And then it got killed because of the time, just the Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Then it went to another network. The same reason he got killed. So like it was a 4-year journey of like selling a show, being excited, attaching a great producer, and then having it die. That happened twice. And so I was like ready to walk away. And then somebody in my team reached out and said that PBS has a pot of money for democracy related content. They want to do stuff around the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which is next year. And so one of the big things is Ken Burns is doing a big documentary series for PBS on the American Revolution. I have my show. There are other projects. So I've been filming this for the last year and a half. And it just came out a couple of weeks ago. At the strangest time, now that PBS is like getting their funding cut from the federal government. So, again, people still can donate to PBS. They can donate to their local affiliates. And there's a lot of corporate philanthropy and wealthy individuals who give money. But it's a very strange time. I mean, I don't know what the future of the show, there's 12 episodes. They're already shot. They're finished. But as for like another season, I don't know.
But I was thinking about it when I was driving over here, like in the wake of Stephen Colbert getting axed, which is so obviously due to a lot of reasons that, I mean, I don't know why I'm being weird. Obviously, Trump was like, you need to fire that motherfucker and then I'll let your merger happen. Right. Let's be real here. In some ways, and I know this, I don't mean to sound trite, but like, and I talk a lot about how I've had shows that have been greenlit and then get to the dust. I mean, if you're really in this town, or if you're really in this industry, you have worked at Funny or Die as a development exec. Like, you have to just keep going. And so in some ways I was like, actually, this might be good for Ben, because let's say hypothetically he had gone through the Turner Max fucking washing machine. Mm-hmm. You could have been fucked because I don't think the government really wants shows like yours where you're literally explaining the Constitution as they are actively making sure people don't know how to fucking read in this country.
Which is so weird because not that the people who founded our country were particularly moral people, but they did get one thing right, which is that they wanted people to understand how the government works so people could operate the government. It's a very new thing that the ordinary people got to vote and pick members of the House. That was crazy. Kings around the world were like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Why are you giving these idiots power? But they said over and over in their writings and their speeches, whether it's Thomas Jefferson or George Watt, they said that they want people to understand how the government works. It's actually one of the reasons we have public education in the first place, was to teach people like civics and government and this type of thing. And it is wild to me that we used to teach so much of it in the 40s and 50s and 60s. We taught a shitload. Coming out of World War II, we had American government, U.S. history, foundations of democracy, civics, like everywhere in our schools. And what happened after that? You had the civil rights movement. You had one of the largest periods of civic activism in world history. And you got results. You got the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. People 18 and the voting age got lowered to 18. Poll taxes got abolished. People in D.C. got voting rights for president. Like, all of these things were achieved. And I think a lot of people, again, not to get conspiratorial, but a lot of people in power were like, fuck, right? Like, maybe like a really smart, informed populace is not great, right? Because they can affect change and make all this power and have all this power and lead to results. And so you started to see classes get chipped away, but really in the last couple decades, we've seen like a huge drop off. To sum it up, today, only 7 states require a year of any kind of civics or government education between kindergarten and 12th grade.
Wait, what?
Seven for real. 7 states. Yeah, they're like a random group you wouldn't expect. Like Idaho is one. I think West Virginia and Virginia. California is not. California does not require a standalone civics course. It doesn't require a standalone civics or government test to graduate. Like, there's a lot of states that either offer nothing or half a year. So anyone who's listening to this should not feel stupid or embarrassed or ashamed for not knowing how this stuff works, because we are like literally not teaching it a lot in school. So
you wrote the book 5 years ago. For children and adults, which I love.
Yeah, different versions for each. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would think so.
Although some adults do say they prefer the kids one.
I'm sure I would too. Was a goal of yours ever to be like, with the children's version, can I get this into schools or into as many houses as possible to kind of make up for the fact that these required classes are no longer?
Yeah, that was the whole goal, really.
Oh.
And
Well, we're done here. That was fun.
Thank you for having me.
Being on the show. Yeah.
I grew up in DC, and the DC, initially DC and then Maryland, but my parents worked in and with the federal government, and they gave me civics lessons over dinner. That was like when I was a kid, they would draw stuff on napkins. They would just teach me about how government works. And so I wanted to find a way to pay that forward. The only reason I know any of this is because from a young age, I got exposed to it, not through my school, not through any other, traditional educational way, literally through my parents. And it's only because that's what they did for a living.
Right. Are we so fucked?
I actually think that there is hope. And the reason
I'm having a hard time.
I know, and I'm having a hard time too. So like there's a lot of horrible stuff happening at the federal level. Like, yes, I agree that right now the federal government, whether it's, public media is like the least of it. You have, law firms and schools and all of these institutions basically giving, services or money to the federal government in exchange for, not being sued. I mean, it feels like all of these places are bending the knee to the federal government.
Columbia. I mean, it's like, what in the
corporations, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, that's obviously really, really disturbing. But I do think that there's a lot that can be, the thing that is keeping me positive is that there is a lot that can happen at the state level that I think people often overlook. And a lot of the things that happen at the state and local level are actually what do affect our lives day to day. Now, obviously there are people who are deeply affected by what's happening at the federal level. Number one on the list are people who are undocumented and what's happening with ICE and people being, kidnapped and detained. Even U.S. citizens sometimes are being, taken by ICE and then let go days later, but they're kept in basements. They're taken by people wearing masks who aren't clearly identified as members of the federal government, which is clearly illegal, unconstitutional, all of the things.
Yeah, but I'm also like, those are the same motherfuckers that refused to wear a mask during COVID.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And they're like, no problem.
They have a clear moral code. If disease is involved, mask off. If constitutional violations are involved, mask on.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I do think that there is a lot that can happen locally at the state level that is possible. And I think people will probably start to move to states where they feel more protected if they have the ability. I mean, things that are happening with, anti-trans laws, things that are happening with LGBTQ laws. And so that is something that can happen. You can amend your state's constitution more easily than the federal constitution. You can pass state laws more easily than getting through things through Congress these days, which is, basically nothing gets through. I mean, people are just fighting on Twitter all the time. Yeah, or it's some horrible budget. So I do think that there are examples I can think of and point to where, like, for example, Maine in 2024, Maine kind of not like a solid blue state, not a solid red state, kind of a purplish state. They did a ballot measure. 75% of Maine voters voted to cap the amount of money that rich people can give to super PACs. They capped it at $5,000. They immediately got sued. It's going through the courts, but they were like, you know what? Billionaires shouldn't be able to spend unlimited money to influence our elections. We're going to put this on the ballot and pass and go around our state lawmakers and do it as a ballot measure. And 75%, which means a lot of Republicans, independents, and Democrats voted for it. So I see things like that don't get enough coverage, where it's like there are things happening at the state and local level that should give people some hope.
Well, I find the same thing, my work with LGBTQ women, female and non-binary identifying candidates, which, as you know, I do a lot of work with. And I'm like, we actually had the best win rate locally that we've ever had, since the PAC started 20 years ago. You know what I mean? But that sort of, it doesn't get any attention because nobody wants to talk about it. But I'm like, no. We are getting people elected in places like Texas. And you know what I mean? It's not just California. It's not just New York. I don't even know what's New York. But I think you're right. I think people lose sight of the fact that their vote is not just the president. It's not we do have all of these local measures, people that we can meet, talk to, see. Sasha Perez near you.
My state senator.
Yeah, who is wonderful. Like, she's been doing so much for people in Altadena with the fires, really like making sure that she's a voice for them, but also somebody who can listen. You know what I mean? It's like, those are the people that we actually need to start supporting and not just thinking about the big ticket elections. But I think it's hard because when you're not educated and don't understand about how things work, it feels really overwhelming. And it's like designed to do so, it feels like.
And I also think that, you only have so much time and for most people, money and resources and energy in any day, right? These local elections, there are fewer voters you have to convince. All of those things go so much further than trying to, volunteer and donate and devote time and energy and resources to somebody running for president or for senator or even the large House districts. But local city council, there are only a couple thousand votes.
Yep.
So like, it really is like, if you want to feel like you're getting a return on your investment of your time, energy, money, resources, like local is the way to go.
Kamala announced this week she is not running for governor of California.
Saw that.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that she's been in office for 2004 she became DA of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then 2010 she became Attorney General of California and then United States Senator and then Vice President. She's had about a 20-year career in public service. And I have to say that I respect anybody who sees public service as a limited career and something that you only need to do for a certain amount of time. I think if more people ran for office, got involved, but saw it as a stage of their life, almost like, serving in the military or volunteering for the Peace Corps, there's some sort of, temporary thing that you do to give back to your country or your city or your town or your state. I think that's the right way to go about it. I don't think we need people who are going to be career politicians and that's all they do. And they're going to be running until, they're in their 80s or 90s. I mean, you literally have people dying in office right now who are in Congress. I mean, the last 8 people to die in Congress in office while they're sitting representative or senator have been Democrats, by the way. This is sort of recently a Democratic issue of people staying in office too long. So I'm never going to criticize somebody who decides to walk away from politics if they've put in the time and done a lot and want to do something else.
I feel the same way about actors. Just like fucking get out of here. Like, no tea, no shade, but for real, like Tom Cruise, like you don't need to do this charade. Anna de Armas, you didn't need to do that. Like, you don't need to give that poor girl a ton of motherfucking money to run around the world with you, pretending y'all are gonna get married. Like, do we need another Mission Impossible? Methinks not. Like, Jason Momoa, you're great, but like, maybe actually he needs to work a little bit longer. I'm trying to think. Brad Pitt, yeah, you could just go twiddle-a-dink somewhere with your mid-century modern homes. Like, I just don't know if we need people going that long. Like, Sylvester Stallone in this new Tyler Sheridan situation, like, he looks insane. Like, he's giving Mickey Rourke a run for his money. Like, just go away. Like, for me, I would be ghost. On my farm in Mexico, you'd never see me again.
Right. I think about the plastic surgeons and how many would take a hit to their bottom line. And, we just don't want to lose any more jobs.
We don't. But let me tell you, Lindsay Lohan, It's My Roman Empire. She looks so fucking good. I mean, it's never ending. You went pretty viral, I feel like, this year. When was that? This is my long COVID kicking in. You went viral on the internets.
I did.
And when was that?
That was like a couple days after
Donald Trump?
October 7th.
Got it.
That was.
And what was that like? Because you've consistently been posting your thoughts, information for years. Mm-hmm. You know a lot of famous people. So you were on the internet. But then all of a sudden it was like, every fucking person, it's like, look at what Ben Sheehan, like, it's like all over the internet. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. How did that feel?
It felt weird. I mean, not to trivialize everything that's happening, and I am going to treat it very seriously, but I was very surprised by this because for the very first time, my wife and I planned a weekend away in Las Vegas to get away from our kid. And
Why the fuck did you go to Las Vegas?
Because we wanted to see U2 at Sphere. It was the first weekend. This is making me sound very straight.
It does make you sound really straight. I wasn't expecting you to say that, especially also because you're like in a pop band with Darren Criss, who isn't like, I mean, he is a straight man. I know his wife, but like whatever people are. But also you guys are like, you're like white guys, but you're not like white guys. That's why you're allowed to be here.
It's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said
You're
to me.
welcome. That is actually probably the nicest thing I've ever said to you. But okay,
true.
so you went to go see the Sphere U2.
We went to see Sphere. We went to
so
Sphere.
Weird.
And,
but okay.
But like that was the atrocities of October. That was that day, and so we didn't fully understand what's happening. And then finally, like the next day on the way to the airport, I read all the news, and I was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And so I wrote something and I posted it, and then I just turned my phone off and we got on the plane, and then we landed, and like, an hour or two later, I turned my phone back on, and it was like all hell had broken loose. I had all these like death threats in my DMs. I had people sharing my posts with millions and millions of followers. It was just like it exploded. And I went back and looked at it recently, and sadly, I do think that a lot of it is incredibly true, if not more true today, in the sense that the whole idea was just like, be really careful about propaganda. If you feel like you don't have empathy for somebody because they're a different race or religion or a country or whatever, or side of you in the conflict, and you feel less bad about something happening to those people physically, then somebody's propaganda is working on you. It is dimming the light and the empathy that is, I think, natural for all of us.
Yeah. But it feels like that is still, if not it more heightened.
100%.
Almost 24 months later, almost 2 years later. And it's heart-wrenching. It's like, you know what I mean? And it also feels like all of these politicians here in the States have been using what's been happening in Gaza and Israel as a means to like distract. I mean, Donald Trump talking about finally about children suffering in Gaza.
Right.
On his golf course in Scotland is clearly a distraction tactic to stop speaking about his involvement with Epstein. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's such bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? And it's awful. And the rise in anti-Semitism in this country, it's just like, it's disgusting every which way around it. But everybody seems to be falling for misinformation, propaganda. I mean, TikTok alone, I mean, I talk about this a lot, is a misinformation, AI, propaganda, 4chan, QAnon, death trap.
But it's really working. Bad. It's like, really bad.
Do you think like the misinformation, not only that's obviously happening about the conflicts in Israel and Gaza, are also, I mean, do you think the election was swayed by misinformation even before those atrocities happened?
We're so inundated with, and there's a difference between misinformation and disinformation. Disinformation is intentionally polluting the narrative. Misinformation is accidentally sharing something that you didn't know was fake, or something that you didn't know was AI, or was, had
okay, fine. Then TikTok is nothing but disinformation.
It's both. It's both. So I completely agree with you. What I do think is important is that, I'll say something and I'll cite either, I don't know, the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, or some legitimate news order. You can not like them and not trust the media and say the media is, biased and left leaning, and that's largely true. But there are like fact checking departments at these places that go and verify information. They verify the authenticity of videos. They verify the authenticity of instances. You may not like their op-eds. You may not like the way that they do or don't report enough on certain things, but they have fact-checking departments. When I'm Jewish, and I'll say something about what's happening in Gaza and how horrible it is, and what's happening with the IDF, and when they're shooting at people who are trying to get food, the way that they've now lifted the block, but they were temporarily blocking aid from getting into Gaza for a matter of months and creating a manufactured starvation. And I will say this, and I will have Jewish friends of mine who are furious at me for pointing it out because they think that, criticizing Israel makes Jews less safe everywhere around the world. But I'll also say, okay, if you think I'm lying, where's your evidence? And they'll send me a Instagram account that started 3 weeks ago.
Right.
That is it's not a news organization. And I'm not saying that influencers can't be journalists or responsible. I follow a lot of people that are not traditional journalists and who are responsible and do take the time to verify things before they report it. And they do fact check. But that's a huge difference, is that are you sharing something and broadcasting information that is fact checked, that is real, that is authentic, or are you just seeing a video that might be taken out of context and amplifying it, and you're believing it because it's what you want to believe?
Well, yeah, I think we also saw that here in America with trans issues and trans rights. I mean, I had friends that I've grown up with, people that I talk to on a daily basis, who somebody had sent me a guy, a cis, straight, white guy.
I'm so sorry about us.
And he sent me this Instagram account that was Gays Against Grooming. Okay. It was an obvious QAnon. And he's like, I just really want you to consider this. And then another, I really want you to consider trans, women in sports. First of all, no one gives a fuck about women's sports. I do, but you don't. You know what I mean? You never have.
I have become
You've become
WNBA
great
fan.
You and fucking
casually.
Jason Sudeikis in the last 18 months. I'm just saying, you never fucking cared. You never fucking cared before. You don't care now. You want to talk about the 3 trans girls that want to play sports? I don't want to play sports, and I'm a cis woman. Move on. But I looked to see who was following this Gays for Grooming, which was so, again, had been started 6 weeks prior, such bullshit, had 500,000 followers, and I knew dozens of people who followed it. And I'm like, are you so fucking stupid that you can't see what this is? And I think, that's what's really heartbreaking and upsetting. And I think, 2 things can be very, very, very true. You can, like myself, I am absolutely 100% hands down not down for anti-Semitism. It's disgusting. Same. It's horrible. We should absolutely be learning about the Holocaust in every single state, in every single school, in the motherfucking world, not just in America, in the world, because it was a global fucking disgusting atrocity. That being said, I am not down for what's happening in Palestine at all. So those 2 things can be very true.
Right.
Hamas is a terrorist organization. Fuck those dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Awful what happened on October 7th. It's disgusting.
Right.
It's murder. It's just, it's horrible.
And they shoot their own citizens horribly.
Exactly. They're disgusting people. It's horrible. And they should be they should not exist. But it breaks my heart. That's internet culture that we've gotten into, like you said, where there is either misinformation or disinformation, and you're getting feedback from your friends. I can't believe you're posting this. It's but 2 things can be true. You know what I mean? It's I also would argue some people on the left who are extremist left, are not I'm not down for Maha. I'm not down for this shit either. You know what I mean? It's libertarianism. I have some issues there. Full stop. I really do.
Well,
but do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's I don't understand. Why do you think that the people have become so extremist in all matters? Is it the internet? Is it the lack of information? Is it a little bit of or lack of education rather?
I think it's a couple factors. One is that the algorithms of social media does show us what we want to see, or it shows us what it's determined that we want to see to create a frictionless experience. We're increasingly seeing things that we have an affinity towards because some algorithm has said, well, you're going to spend more time on the app if we show you things that you engage with and that you like and that are of interest to you. And so we're constantly seeing that. And I think it's making us unable to like disagree or just see daylight and respect it, because I think that we're so used to getting things on demand in every aspect of our life. If we want a meal, we open our phone, it's there in a few minutes. We need to ride to the airport. If we want to get a date at night, all these things are happening immediately. So when we don't get what we want immediately, we get upset. And I think, as we start to see more and more things that we agree with, it sorts us into teams, it sorts us into sides. And, we start treating global conflicts like, team red and team blue, team Palestine, team Israel, team left, team right. And what's no one 100%, at least very few people, 100% agree with everything on like either side. There's daylight wherever you look. But for some reason, we're now becoming used to not liking that and not used to not knowing how to deal with it. And so there are complexities. There are clear things that are morally wrong, that are morally indefensible. Starving kids is just morally indefensible. I don't care what it's for. It doesn't fucking matter. But there are, if you look at the conflict in its entirety, and it goes back many, many decades, there are fucked up things that both sides are doing. There's power dynamics at play. It's very complicated, and I don't want that to say that and people think that I'm trivializing it, because again, what is happening now is not okay. And there is one group that is more to blame for it. So I just think that it's a lack of awareness of that. And then also frustration, and people want to take out their frustration and they do it online. Yeah. And they attack people. And if they don't have a way to make a political power choice, if they don't have a way to make a financial power choice, then what else do you have? The public square.
Right. I've often heard from either actually right here in this room from a trans white man, but also from my cis, straight, white male friends that
we need to really do some soul searching, don't we?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Okay. Is like, do you just hear some fucked up shit and you're like, whoa, dude? Like, is toxic masculinity... I mean, not in your friend group, because I know most of your friends and they're actually like lovely straight white guys, because they're like my friends too. But like, you are from DC. You have been in many different spaces. Are you just like, whoa, dude, we got to work on this a little bit? Like, do you hear crazy shit? And if you do, have you spoken up, or are you just like, oh my God, like, what is there even to say?
I have a friend who was my roommate sophomore year in college, who was one of my closest friends from school. And he has had a real right turn. Now, he's an immigrant. He came here when he was 10 years old with his mom from Russia, didn't speak a word of English. We came here in extreme poverty, managed to, work his ass off. His mom was able to achieve citizenship. He was able to get citizenship. He's been on scholarships all his life. He paid for his own way throughout college. He got into med school, finished full scholarship, #1 in his class, like the genuine American dream. And in the last few years, he has had a real rightward lurch where he thinks that is the only way to do it. Everyone else is being lazy. And I don't know if it's because he's from Russia or
the
what.
Russian thing gives a little bit of a twist. You know what I mean?
Like, he is very susceptible to clear, not even like there's shades of truth. It's like he sends me like an AI video, and he's like, I can't believe AOC said this. I'm like, this is artificial intelligence.
It's like the video of Salma Hayek. What are you coming in my feed where it's like doesn't even look like her, and she's like, I'm raising my husband's son who he had out of wedlock, and I'm like, this is not real. Like, what is this?
Right. And so I'm like, I'll take the time to respond. And I'm sure I'll send him things, and I'm sure he doesn't like them. But like, we'll have a dialogue going back and forth, because I'm thinking to myself, if I don't engage with this person, who else is? who else is engaging with them and showing them the other side of things? Because again, we see so many things we agree with online. It's really these like pre-existing friendships that give us the freedom to be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this isn't real. Or, you know, you can't possibly think this is the right thing to do, or like this is the moral choice, especially, you know, he's a very religious person. He's very Christian. I'm like,
he's religious.
You can't.
You're ticking all the boxes here.
But he wasn't always. He sort of came into it later in life. But I really think it is important to maintain these friendships if they exist. I know that it's easy for me to say this as my, you know,
Congresswoman
gender,
Sarah
but like,
McBride, who's my homie, was on this show, and she said the exact same thing, Ben. She was like, I actually think we have to continue these relations, like cutting people off actually does not help the problem.
I love Congresswoman McBride. She's a longtime friend of my brother's. My brother's worked in state government in Delaware for many years. I've heard about her. So I've met her, I've hung out with her. She's amazing. But I think that it's like if you start to cut off people, and I understand why somebody would want to do that. I get it. I understand the frustration. Maybe not as much as people who are really directly being affected by what's going on right now, whose rights are being threatened. I don't understand it like that, but I understand it theoretically. But I do think that if for those who have the patience to do it, if you're not going to be using a pre-existing relationship that's built on something other than political debate to maintain these bonds and show them something that they may not be seeing, then no one else is going to do that. And then people drift further and further to a side.
Yeah. Want to know something really crazy?
Please.
I got to go to Congress and the Capitol and walk the floor, and I got like a crazy private tour. Didn't get kicked out. And I talked shit I couldn't help it. It was like literally Tourette syndrome. I was like, oh.
Were you were wearing the fur hat and you had your face painted like Braveheart and you had the
No, yeah, they would have welcomed me with fucking warm arms. No,
but you wear that outfit fairly often.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, it's obviously you see me on the red carpet. No, I went. It was wild. I'd never been to DC before, so
really?
like one night. It doesn't count.
Okay.
And I got to walk the floor. I mean, the Senate floor. Like, they let me do really cool shit because I got a private tour. I mean, they took my phone for like the majority of it, which was sort of a bummer. Mm-hmm. You know what was crazy?
What?
Other than me not getting kicked out and talking all this shit, the people that work there, or like the interns, they're apparently all Mormons, and they're like 22 years old. Did you know that? They're kids.
Well, I knew that like people who intern, like staffers, are in their 20s, but I didn't know they're all Mormon.
That's what they told me. Not the guy that was taking me around, because he wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds with me. I mean, that poor kid. And he said my partner, so I thought he was gay. And then he's like, yeah, she's like bisexual. I was like, no, we're not doing that. No. Like, stop with the co-opting of partner. That was confusing to me. I assumed that you were set up with me because of Congresswoman McBride, like because of how LPAC, because of how I got here. No, we're not doing that. Like, you're a straight white guy, but I like you. And he was really funny. Love you. But he was telling me a lot of them are Mormon.
Huh.
Interesting, right?
I didn't know that.
And they're kids.
I do know that Congress is largely run by
I'm talking they look young.
The country is actually run by people in their 20s and 30s
No,
who are the aides. Like the actual members. I mean, some of them maybe are really hands-on, but a lot of times it's their staff that are doing all the work, that are doing the negotiations, that are doing the research, that are actually writing the bills. Like our country is run by staff. I mean, I know my mom was a staffer for 15 years for a member of the United States Senate in the 70s and 80s. Like it's people behind the members of Congress are the ones doing the work. And a lot of members of Congress who are honest will also tell you that.
I was floored, mostly because I wasn't asked to leave. Are you going to run for office of any kind?
I don't know. I have thought about it. I feel like I want to see where all of this goes with the PBS of it all, and sort of see where the media space is interesting to me, especially as people trust traditional journalists less and less as media outlets are going through changes. It feels like the Wild West kind of, and I'm curious about what opportunities exist. As far as running for office myself, I probably wouldn't want to run for Congress because it just feels like you're fighting on social media all the time. And literally. I feel like there are really good members of, like, my member of the House is Judy Chu. I think she's great. We have, solid senators. The thing that does interest me is county supervisor.
Sick.
Because it's the most powerful job that no one realizes. Like LA County is far and away the largest county in the country. It's 10 million people. The next biggest has only 5 million people. Like it's by far the biggest. We have the largest GDP. We have the GDP of like Switzerland. It's like crazy how big this county is. And right now it's being run by 5 people. 5 people write all the laws and enforce all the laws. Now they're about to expand it, I believe, to 9 because a ballot measure passed. But it's one of those, it's such a powerful job and it's so few people who do it. It's of interest to me, but there's a lot of people who have been serving in politics a lot longer than me who have their eyes on that. And so it's something that I've been like, if I ever was going to do it, I might do that. So it's a long way of saying that like maybe, but probably not.
Yeah, but you would have sick fundraisers that I wouldn't be able to afford to go to. Actually, I know that I wouldn't be able to afford to go to. Because I know your friends.
Yeah.
And I know you did a lot for Hillary.
I did a lot. Yeah. 2016, I was involved. 2018, I did a bunch of fundraisers. But I got to be honest with you, I got disillusioned with like the fundraising world because.
Yeah, no shit. I'm on a fucking political back. You want to ask me about it? I know all too well.
You get it.
I get it hard.
It's frustrating. And like, to be honest, you're raising for something and you don't even know if the money is necessarily going to be spent well. Like there's an entire...
And it's a shit ton of money.
It's a shit ton of money.
It's a shit ton of money.
There's an entire ecosystem of consultants that, take money from campaigns and PACs and super PACs. And like, just to be clear, it is important to have money to run for office. Like you need it to get your message out and advertise and stuff like that. But let's be honest, like in this past election cycle, Biden, Harris, total, all the campaigns, all the PACs, everything, just the presidential election, they raised $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion. And that is more, that's just the presidential campaign, not even including Congress. And that is significantly more than the Trump campaign and associated PACs did. And Trump won. So like, they wasted
Trump also like completely fucked up the algorithm of all social media. I mean, I'm telling you, here's how I tried some things out on TikTok.
What'd you do?
I didn't say any words about Trump, politics, anything. No words were spoken. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like I was like, there's a dog and there's a cat, and the dog and the cat are going to play outside. Like
use code words.
Yeah, but not even code words that anyone would know. I just kind of talked about it. Knew exactly what I was talking about somehow. Death threats aplenty. Like immediate. What? Yes, Ben. I'm telling you. That's why I'm just like, this is all. And here's what was interesting. I wiped my whole feed. You can go through TikTok and wipe your whole feed. Not of your content, but like I had someone at TikTok show me, you basically reset your algorithm. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea.
I could try to show you on your phone, but then I'd be scared that I would just like lock your phone and blow it up or something. But I had someone at TikTok who will remain nameless. I was like, can you I don't like what I see. Can you reset it? And he did. Why would I only see people telling me not to vote because Kamala wasn't doing anything for Palestinians and was horrible?
This is after the reset.
After the reset. And then it was just all pro-Trump. Why would I? My feed now is what I want it to be. It's Pusha T talking shit about Travis Scott. That's literally all I want to see. I don't want to see any of this weird lesbian TikTok stuff. The lesbian TikTok stuff is so weird. It's so off-brand. I don't like it. Now it's plastic surgery of Lindsay Lohan and Pusha T talking shit about Kanye West and Travis Scott. Perfect. Thank God I'm back to where I needed to be.
I can't believe you can just, I mean, of course it makes sense.
You can wipe it.
Of course, I didn't know that you could electively
it's in there.
do it.
He showed it to me, but I was not pregnant and drinking at the time.
What do you think would happen if everyone suddenly wiped their TikTok at the same time and had their, like in the country?
I think it would all be QAnon fucking weird shit.
It'd be
on
worse,
there.
you think?
I think it'd be worse because mine was, because I had nothing to base it on. It just showed me what it wanted to show me. And I found that to be so frightening and so scary. Okay, another frightening, scary question. Who do you think's going to run for Democrat next presidential election? Make a bet.
Like, who do I think the nominee will be, or who do I think is going to run?
Who do you think the nominee? Who do you think will try to become? Like, who do you think is going to go for it?
I think
It's an easier
this
question.
is in no particular order. I think AOC is going to run. I think Mark Cuban's going to run. I think Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, is going to run. I think Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, is going to run. And I would say maybe someone like Ruben Gallego, senator in Arizona, Latino.
I don't want anyone from Arizona running for anything.
And maybe Gretchen Whitmer. And Pete
Gretchen will
Buttigieg.
run.
And Pete Buttigieg. I'd say those
Pete,
seven are almost guaranteed.
I was surprised you didn't say Pete first.
I was thinking more along the lines
I can't believe you
of,
just fucking decided to enter the trans athlete conversation. Did you see that?
what Pete did?
Yes.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, just fucking this past week.
What did he
He's
say?
like, yeah, I don't think it's really fair. I'm like, Pete, shut the fuck up. Are you really doing this right now? Don't do this, Pete.
Was he on a podcast okay.
A broadcast. I don't listen to those things, but yeah, I think you're right. I think Gretchen will go. I think she'll try. But maybe also I also feel like she's like traumatized, but
I know.
I mean, I would be.
I would be too. Bunch of fucking people tried to kidnap me and like
Literally.
kill me. I mean, it's insane.
I don't know. That one I'm not sure if I'm actually retracting. I don't know if she'll run.
I think she might. I think there's a lot. There's enough people who like her. Enough. I mean, not again. It sucks that it's about this, but enough donors like her that she'll have.
Do you think women actually have a real chance of winning the presidential election?
If you are asking me honestly, who I think the first woman president will be, I think it'll be a Republican.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it would be a Republican.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a Democrat. You can't do both. I mean, yeah. And let me tell you, I know you've probably met her too. I've said it here and I'll say it again. Kamala Harris, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I've met her a few times in my life. You haven't?
Mm-mm.
Yo, she got the juice.
I've seen her and I've been into an event and heard her speak and stuff, but
have you like
met her.
felt the vibe? She has the like celebrity vibe. She has that thing.
There are people like that.
I haven't met Michelle or Barack Obama.
I haven't
either. I'm scared I would just cry. I think I would cry hysterically and beg them to like take me to Oahu and put me in their, I'll like do anything they want.
They're
for them.
polytool.
God, I miss them so deeply in my soul. You know?
Yeah, I don't think they want anything to do with public office.
No, Michelle Obama has been like, y'all can get fucked. She's doing podcasts.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate. I'm out.
They're doing fine.
She looks beautiful. She's wearing her hair, her nails, her makeup, her clothes the way she wants to. She looks stunning. She's hilarious. She's a perfect person. And I love her.
Who would you want to run?
Who would I want to
run?
Oh,
so I've named 7 people or whatever. So they're all pretty conventional choices. But like,
No,
who are you excited about?
I'm not excited about any of those people that you just mentioned. I think that's a problem. AOC, like, do it. I just think she's got a lot up against her.
A ton.
I think when she like was the only one that picked Bernie, what was that? Was that for Biden? When Biden, like for the, I was just like, girl, come on. Like, you're the only, like you decided to go into politics. I didn't force you to go into politics. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy her, but I don't know. That would make me very nervous because the young people didn't mobilize the way that I thought they could and should. Young white Christian people mobilized because their churches fucking told them every Sunday, their parents sat with them at the dinner table every fucking week and told them to vote, and they voted Republican. Young Gen Z, young Gen Alpha. I mean, I hope Alpha comes around. These Gen Z kids don't even get me
there's a real difference between. So in the last election cycle, I helped out with a nonpartisan like youth voter turnout effort. And it was run by a guy named John Della Volpe, who's a pollster who works out of Harvard. And he's sort of known as like the Gen Z pollster. Like he's been studying voters under 30, under 35 for a long time. He thinks it would be a better country if more young people voted based on their values. And he's been doing this for 20 years. And he did focus groups with voters 18 to 29 in Phoenix, in Atlanta, in Charlotte, in whatever, Detroit. And the number one thing that did not matter if the people talking were white, black, gay, straight, trans, whatever, the number one issue for anyone, even if they were Republican, Democrat, liberal, was housing. It's the only thing anyone talked about.
Well,
and it was just an opportunity that I think was missed too late. And I think that, the pipeline to these like broadcasters is that people are really financially struggling. There were people who were either currently or had been or were worried about becoming unhoused in all of these focus groups.
100%.
They're spending 70% of their money on rent. They don't believe they'll ever be able to own a home, which is what they were told would be their main source of wealth and security and the American dream. And so they're feeling horrible about themselves. They're feeling horrible about America. They're horrible about their finances. They're terrified. And sometimes people are looking for quick fixes. And when somebody comes along and says, I'm going to get you rich, I'm going to help fix this, I'm going to get you money in your pocket, here's a crypto scheme, it's like, I can understand how people might be down for that or want a quick fix to a problem that is taking a toll on them mentally, financially, physically.
Do you think those young folks that may either decided to not vote or did vote for Trump regret it?
I do think that there have been polls coming out showing that substantial numbers of people under the age of 30, 35 are regretting their vote for Trump or their decision not to vote.
Because financially alone, take this disgusting ICE bullshit out of it. Mm-hmm. Financially, people are struggling worse than ever.
Yeah, unless you're super rich.
Yeah. I really want a rich person to just give so much money, not to really bring it all the way back, but I am, to PBS and NPR. And I just would love to see somebody actually do something great.
Somebody might do a big grant. I mean, that's how they make a lot of their money. I mean, again, only of like the main NPR, PBS national organizations, only between 1% and 15% of their money was federally funded. So like they'll be okay. They'll be able to make up the gap for the time being. But it's really like, if people are listening to this, like my advice would be to donate something to, if you can, donate something to the local affiliate in your town, in your city. And that's your, that gets 50% of its money from the federal government, 60% that are going to have to potentially shutter because of this.
Well, I hope everybody watches your show.
I hope so too. It's available on.
Tell us the whole thing.
So it's 12 episodes. Every episode is a different topic. So there's one on the Electoral College. There's one on. I went to Puerto Rico and filmed an episode on why we have U.S. territories. What are territories? How did they become a part of the United States? Should they be
travel
states?
Blogger.
I did an episode about the filibuster, about how we raise money and spend, like the federal budgeting, taxing, and spending. The history of voting rights. There's an episode on if there could be another constitutional convention, which is something crazy. We've only had one, but there's a quiet movement to try to create another to rewrite the Constitution. And they're more than halfway there. So there's a lot of, every episode is a single topic, 10 minutes long. It's available on PBS's YouTube, PBS's app, and the PBS website. And I think it's helpful. I'm happy with it.
And buy Ben's book.
And buy my book. What does the Constitution actually say?
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you for having me.